evening. My name is Nate Mays, and I will be doing my speech on the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment was issued by Congress January 31st, 1865. It was part of the Emancipation Proclamation issued by President Abraham Lincoln, which declared all individuals who were held as slaves in the United States from this point on were free, and slavery itself was banned except as a punishment for those incarcerated. It was a major turning point in history and one of the biggest stepping stones for Black Americans who were brought here to be oppressed. But notice how this said except for those in prison, incarcerated in prisons for doing time. Was slavery ever really gone, or was it just hiding in plain sight from the judicial system? In the Article 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, abolition of slavery at the National Archives, recently Tennessee just had an election that had the 13th Amendment on the ballot saying should slavery be banned as a punishment for those incarcerated, with it leading to being passed and now slavery is banned as a punishment for those even in prison. My question is, this led me to think about what people are incarcerated the most and what this has to do with the 13th Amendment. This led me to think about those who are doing the most type of time, such as which racial and ethnic minority groups or even majority groups are doing time in prisons. As I was doing research, I came across the article, The Color of Justice, Racial and Ethnic Disparities in State Prisons by Ashley Nellis, PhD. It showed me that Black Americans are 5 times more likely to be incarcerated than white Americans. It also says that 1 in 85 Black males in America are serving time behind bars, while even in the state of Wisconsin, it is 1 in 36 Black males. To this, I present to you that the 13th Amendment is nothing more but a loophole, but the loophole disguised to oppress African Americans or still be in control and use the prison or use those incarcerated as the solution. Statistics from the FBI show that white Americans produce 69% of all crimes in the United States, while Black Americans only commit 26.6% of those, which brings up the dilemma in which why are Black Americans more likely to be charged and sentenced than any other race. This speech is not a persuasive or advocacy speech. This is an informative speech to inform you about how the 13th Amendment was a loophole to slavery for more than 150 years after the initiative ban was put on slavery, a way to target African Americans to keep us oppressed by locking us in prisons. And you may ask, what about those who are doing who have committed violent crimes such as murders and robberies, who should be put in jail? To this I say yes, they should, and no exceptions allowed. But then I ask you, what about those who are being wrongfully convicted and doing time for crimes they have never did? Why are more black men on death row than any other demographic? What about those who are doing 25 to life for simple marijuana possessions, when in some states it is legal to carry that amount of marijuana now? Why are African Americans more likely to get pulled over at a higher rate than any other race in the United States? The 13th Amendment was a historic law that banned slavery in the United States, except for those incarcerated until earlier this month, which questioned me to see why was slavery ever an exception in any condition up until 2022.